First of all, thank you, Trong, for organizing this. And I am really happy to join with Anil to talk about payment issues in the construction industry, such as pay when paid or pay if paid. I'm Professor Rudi Klein. I'm a barrister by profession. I have been campaigning for 30 years to improve payment in the construction industry, because the problem is that if people are not paid properly, then we don't have trust. And if we don't have trust, then we do not collaborate, because a construction project should be a collaborative effort. It's not an individual project. It's a project. A construction project is a project involving many people, many organizations, and to make it successful, you have to collaborate. But to collaborate, you cannot collaborate. You cannot work with other organizations unless everybody is being paid properly. Now, when it comes to payment, there are four things that we have to think about. And I call these four things the four certainties. Number one, certainty of timing. In other words, you need to know when payments are to be made. Certainty of timing. Number two, certainty of amount. You need to know how much you are going to be paid. Certainty of amount. Number three, certainty of enforcement. Certainty of enforcement. By that I mean that you can enforce your rights very easily and quickly. And number four, certainty that your money is safe. Certainty that money is safe. What I'm talking about there is insolvency. That somebody has your money, will they become insolvent? So, four things. Number one, certainty of timing. Number two, certainty of amount. Number three, certainty of enforcement. And number four, certainty that your monies are safe. So I used those four certainties when I was drafting the legislation for Ireland. Now, so let me just very quickly go through those four certainties. So number one, certainty of timing. All construction contracts should make clear when payments are due. So if you are a consultant or a contractor, you know when your monies are to be paid. So there should be absolute clarity when monies are due to be paid. And of course, pay if paid or pay when paid completely destroys that, because you don't know when money is due. If you've got a pay when paid clause, you have no idea. So there's no enforcement. You have no debt, because to have you need a debt to enforce your payment. And a debt means two things. You know when you should have been paid, and you know the amounts. If you don't know when you should have been paid, you don't know the amount, you do not have a debt. So a pay when paid or pay if paid kills the whole concept of debt. So it's how can I best describe it? Pay when paid, pay if paid is very, very damaging. In England, in the UK, we have abandoned, or we have got rid of pay when paid, except when there's an insolvency. So I can still say to my subcontractors, I am not going to pay you if my client goes insolvent. I can still say that, even in England or the UK. It's not a very good situation. We've still got it's a problem. So that's certain. So certainty of timing is undermined by pay when paid, pay if paid. Certainty of amount. Certainty of amount. Knowing how much you're going to be paid. By the date by which you should be paid, you need to know the amount. So in the UK, there is a requirement for paying parties to notify what they intend to pay. So we have these payment notices. They can issue you another notice to pay less, but this must be done before the final date for payment, before the final date when you're due to be paid. So by the date you are to be paid, you know what payment is going to be made. Now, you might disagree with the amount, and then maybe you have to take the matter to adjudication. But you need to know the amount, certainty of amount. The third thing I mentioned was certainty of enforcement. In the UK, we have a statutory right to suspend monies if payment is not being made by the date for payment. So if the date for payment passes and you're not being paid, you can stop your work. Not just contractors, but consultants too. So if you're a consultant, you haven't been paid, then you could then stop doing your design work, for example. And many consultants, of course, are employed or engaged by main contractors, general contractors, who in the UK don't pay so well. You may have heard about Carillion. Carillion was a big company, multinational company, £5 billion turnover. Carillion collapsed 3 years ago. And many thousands of companies weren't paid. Carillion had 120 days payment periods. And of course, the longer you have to wait for payment, the more that you are at risk from insolvencies up the supply chain. So it's very, very dangerous to wait a long time. So as far as enforcement, certainty of enforcement is concerned, a statutory right of suspension is very, very important. And also adjudication, where you disagree with what is owed, being able to adjudicate quickly, in the UK within 28 days, have an adjudication that is quick and that is also cheap. Although unfortunately in the UK, it's become rather expensive. But it was supposed to be cheap and quick. finally, certainty that the money is safe. We haven't made a lot of progress on this. We have something called project bank accounts in the UK, which I have been heavily involved with. Project bank accounts are one account out of which all construction participants are paid. And so the client pays the money in to the account for everybody, and the account is safeguarded. Everybody has to be paid from that account. So if the main contractor became insolvent, the money in the account is safe. We need to have project bank accounts everywhere. In Queensland, in Australia, from 2022, the legislation in Queensland now says that for every project in Queensland above 640,000 Australian dollars must have a project bank account from the 1st of July 2022. In the UK, we have project bank accounts mainly on public sector work, but they have been very successful. And this is, I think, is the way to go. The other thing I think we should have in the UK, they have it in Germany, example, is that every party who procures construction work should provide adequate security for payment, like a payment bond. In America, on public sector projects in the United States, every main contractor must provide a payment bond for subcontracts over $35,000 US. That bond must be equal to half the value of the subcontract. And that is the case for all public sector projects in America. The reason it applies to public sector projects is this. If I am a main contractor and I'm working for a public sector body, in the UK and maybe in many other countries, public bodies do not go into insolvency. So if I'm a main contractor, my money's safe. But that doesn't apply to his subcontractors. So what I'd like to see is legislation that says that if you are procuring construction work, you have to give adequate security for payment, such as a bank guarantee, such as a payment bond. In the same way that if I'm a contractor, I'm often asked for a performance bond. So if I have to give a performance bond for my work, why can't I get a payment bond? So there we go. Trong, I've tried to explain what we've been doing, but the thing to remember are these four certainties. All right, if you take that away from this morning, my friends, then we have made some progress.